The Cunning Shoemaker. Once upon a time there lived a shoemaker called Master Joseph, who could get no work to do and was so poor that he and his wife nearly died of hunger. At last he said to her, "It is no use on waiting here. I can find nothing. I shall go to the Mascaluta. Perhaps I shall be more lucky." So he went Mascaluta and walked through the streets crying, "I want some shoes!" And very soon a window was pushed up, and a woman's head was thrust out of it. "Here are a pair for you to patch," she said, and he sat down on her doorstep and set about patching them. "How much do I owe you?" she asked when they were done. "A shilling." "Here's an 18-piece, and good luck to you." And he went on his way. He turned into the next street and set up his cry again, and it was not long before another window was pushed up and another head appeared. "Here's some shoes for you to patch." And the shoemaker sat down on the doorstep and patched them. "How much do I owe you?" asked the woman when the shoes were finished. "Oh, a florin." "Well, here's a crown piece, and good luck to you." And she shut the window. "Well," thought the shoemaker, "I've done finely, but I will not go back to my wife just yet, as if only to go on this rate I shall soon have enough money to buy a donkey." Having made up his mind what he best to do, he stayed in town a few days longer, until he had 4 gold pieces safe in his purse. Then he went to the market, and for 2 of them he bought a good, strong donkey, and mounted on its back and rode home to Catania. But as he entered a thick wood, he saw in the distance a band of robbers who were coming quickly towards him. "I am lost," he thought. "They are sure to take me for all the money that I have earned, and I shall be as poor as I was. What can I do?" However, being a clever little man and full of spirit, he did not lose heart, but taking 5 florins, he fastened them out of sight under the donkey's thick mane, and then rode on. Directly the robber came up to him and seized him exactly as he had foretold, and took away all of his money. "Oh, dear friends," he cried, wringing his hands, "I am but a poor shoemaker, and have nothing but this donkey left in the world." As he spoke, the donkey gave himself a shake. Down fell the 5 florins. "Hey, where did these come from?" asked the robbers. Replied the shoemaker, "you have guessed my secret. The donkey is a golden donkey, and he supplies me with all my money." "Sell him to us," said the robbers, "and we will give you any price you like." The shoemaker at first declared that nothing would induce him to sell him, but at last he agreed to hand him over to the robbers for 50 gold pieces. "But listen to what I tell you," he said. "You must each take it in turn to own him for a night and a day, or else you will be fighting over all the money." And with these words they parted, the robbers driving the monkey to their cave in the forest, and the shoemaker returning home, very pleased with the success of his trick. He just stopped on the way to pick up a good dinner, and the next day spent most of his gains in buying a small vineyard. Meanwhile, the robbers had arrived at a cave where they lived, and the captain, calling them all around, announced that it was his rights to have the donkey for the first night. His companions agreed, and then he told his wife to put a mattress in the stable. She asked if he had gone out of his mind, but he answered crossly, "What is it to you? Do as you are bid, and tomorrow I shall bring you some treasures." Very early the captain awoke and searched the stable, but could find nothing, and guessed that Master Joseph had been making fun of him. "Well," he said to himself, "if I have been taken in, the other shall not come off any better." So, when one of his men arrived and asked him eagerly how much money he had got, he answered gaily, "Oh, comrade, if you knew, but I shall say nothing about it till everyone has had his turn." One after another they all took the donkey, but no money was forthcoming to anybody. At length, when all the band had been tricked, they held a council and resolved to march to the shoemaker's house and punish him well for his cunning. Just as before, the shoemaker saw them a long way off and began to think of how he would outwit them again. Then he had hit upon a plan, and he called his wife and said to her, "Take a bladder and fill it with blood and bind it around your neck. When the robbers come and demand the money they gave me for the donkey, I shall shout at you and tell you to get it quickly. You must argue with me and decline to obey me, and then I shall plunge my knife into the bladder, and you must fall to the ground as if you were dead. There you must lie till I play on my guitar, then get up and begin to dance." The wife made haste to do as she was bid, and there was no time to lose, for the robbers were drawing very near the house. They entered with a great noise and overwhelmed the shoemaker with reproaches for having deceived them about the donkey. "The poor beast must have lost his power owing to the change of masters," he said. "But we will not quarrel about it. You shall have back the 50 gold pieces that you gave for him. Eita!" he cried to his wife. "Go quickly to the chest upstairs and bring down the money for these gentlemen." "Wait a little," she answered. "I must first bake this fish. It will be spilt if I leave it now." "Go this instant. You are bid," shouted the shoemaker, stamping as if he was in a great passion. But she did not stir. He drew his knife and stabbed her in the neck. The blood spurted out freely, and she fell to the ground as if she was dead. "What have you done?" asked the robbers, looking at him in dismay. "The poor woman was doing nothing." Perhaps I was hasty, but it is easily set right," replied the shoemaker, taking down his guitar and beginning to play. Hardly had he struck the first notes than his wife sat up and got on her feet and danced. The robbers stared with mouths open, and at last said, "Master Joseph, you may keep the 50 gold pieces, but tell us what you will take for your guitar. You must sell it to us." "Oh, that's impossible," replied the shoemaker. "Every time I have a quarrel with my wife, I just strike her dead and give in to my... This has become such a habit for me that I don't think I could break myself of it, and, of course, if I got rid of the guitar, I would never bring her back to life again." However, the robbers would not listen to him, and at last he consented to take 40 pieces for the guitar. Then they all returned to their cave in the forest, delighted with their new purchase, and longing for a chance at trying its powers. The captain declared that the first trial belonged to him, and after that the others might have their turn. That evening he called to his wife and said, "What have you got for supper?"
"Macaroni,"
answered she. "Why have you not boiled a fish?" he cried, and stabbed her in the neck so she fell down dead. The captain, who was not in the least angry, seized the guitar and began to play it. But let him play as loud as he would, the dead woman never stirred. "Oh, lying shoemaker, you abominable knave! Twice has he got the better of me, but I will pay him out." He raged and he swore, but it did him no good. The fact remained that he had killed his wife, and she would not be coming back. The next morning, one of the robbers came to fetch the guitar to hear what had happened. "Well, how's it got on?" "Oh, splendidly. I stabbed my wife and then began to play, and now she is well as ever." "Did it really? Well, this evening I will try it myself." And of course, the same thing happened over again, till all the wives had secretly been killed. And when there were no more left, they whispered to each other the dreadful tale and swore to be avenged on the shoemaker. The band lost no time in setting out for his house, and as before, the shoemaker saw them coming from afar. He called to his wife, who was washing in the kitchen. "Listen, Eta, when the robbers come and ask for me, say I have gone to the vineyard. Then tell the dog to call me and chase him from the house." When he had given these directions, he ran out the back door and hid behind a barrel. A few moments later, the robbers arrived and called loudly for the shoemaker. "Alas, good gentleman, he is out in the vineyard. I will send the dog after him at once. Here, now quickly to the vineyard and tell your master the gentlemen are here who wish to speak to him. Go as fast as you can." And she opened the door and let the dog out. "You can really trust the dog to call your husband?" asked the robbers. "Oh, dear me, yes. He understands everything and will always carry out any message I give him." By and by, the shoemaker came in and said, "Good morning, gentlemen. The dog tells me you wish to speak to me." "Yes, we do," replied the robber. "We have come to speak to you about that guitar. It is your fault that we have all murdered our wives, and though we played as you told us, none of them ever came back to life." "You could not have played properly," said the shoemaker. "It was your own fault." "Well, we will forget all about it," answered the robbers, "if only you will sell us your dog." "Oh, that is impossible. I should never get on without him." But the robbers offered him 40 gold pieces, and at last he agreed to let them have the dog. So they departed, taking the dog with them, and when they got back to their cave, the captain declared that it was his right to have the first trial. Then he called his daughter and said to her, "I'm going to the inn. If anyone wants me, let the loose dog, and send him to call me." About an hour after someone arrived on business, the girl untied the dog and said, "Go to the inn and call my father." The dog bounded off, but ran straight to the shoemaker. When the robber got home and found no dog, he thought he must have gone back to his old master, and thought his night had already fallen, went off after him. "Master Joseph, is the dog here?" he said. "Ah, yes, the poor beast is so fond of me, you must give him time to get accustomed to the new ways." So the captain brought the dog back, and the following morning handed him over to another of the band, just saying that the animal could really do what the shoemaker had said. The second robber carefully kept his own counsel and fetched the dog secretly back from the shoemaker, and so on through the whole band. At length, when everybody had suffered, they met and told the whole story, and the next day they all marched off in a fury to the man who had made a game of them. After reproaching him with having deceived them, they tied him up in a sack and told him they were going to throw him out into the sea. The shoemaker lay quite still and let them do as they would. They came to a church, and the robber said, "The sun is hot, and this bag is heavy. Let's just leave it here and go in and rest." So they put the sack down by the roadside and went into the church. Now, on the hill nearby there was a swineherd looking after a great herd of pigs and whistling merrily. When Master Joseph heard him, he cried out as loud as he could, "I won't! I won't! I won't, I say!" "What won't you do?" the swineherd. "Oh," replied the shoemaker, "they want me to marry the king's daughter, and I won't do it." "How lucky you are," said the swineherd. "Now, if it were only me—" "Oh, if that's all," replied the cunning shoemaker, "get you into the sack and let me out." And then the swineherd opened the sack and took the place of the shoemaker, who went gaily off, driving the pigs before him. When the robbers were arrested, they came out of the church and took up the sack and carried it to the sea, where they threw it in, and it sank directly. As they came back to meet the shoemaker, and stared at him with open mouths. "Oh, if only you knew how many pigs there were in the sea," he said. "And the deeper you go, the more there are. I have just brought up these, and mean to return for some more." "There's still more left in there." "Oh, more than I could count," replied the shoemaker. I will show you what you must do." Then he led the robbers back to the shore. "Now," he said, "you must each of you tie a stone to your necks, so that you may be sure to go deep enough, for I found the pigs that you saw very deep down indeed." Then the robbers tied stones around their necks, and jumped in, and were drowned. And Master Joseph drove his pigs home, and was a rich man to the end of his days.